7 years ago, I stood in our dimly lit kitchen, holding a pregnancy test that felt heavier than my entire world. The rain outside slid down the window like cold fingers, matching the tremble in my hands. When Daniel walked in, his face was tense, already carrying the weight of the argument we had the night before. Please subscribe our channel A Story a Day, and drop your comment where from you watching our stories. Thank you. So? He asked, dropping his keys on the counter. Is it positive? I nodded. My throat burned, but the tears refused to fall. He exhaled sharply, pinching the bridge of his nose. We're not ready, Emma, you know that. My job, your health, financially? I can work it out, I whispered. We can work it out. But he shook his head firmly, his voice rising. No, we can't. I won't support this. I thought we agreed. You'd end it. Those words carved something out of me, something that never grew back. I remember whispering, barely audible, you won't support the baby. Or me. Silence. A silence that answered everything. That night, I packed a single suitcase. I wrote him a note, short, shaking, heartbroken. I'm ending something, but not the baby. I'm ending us. I left before dawn, with a pregnancy test still lying on the kitchen counter like a forgotten truth. For years, Daniel didn't look for me, didn't call, didn't ask. Maybe he believed I had done what he wanted. Maybe he preferred believing that. I rebuilt my life piece by piece. I moved across the country, took 2 jobs, slept on a friend's couch, and went through pregnancy alone. But when my son, my beautiful, soft-eyed boy, was placed on my chest, I knew every tear, every fear, every lonely night was worth it. His name is Leo, and he became my entire world. 7 years later, fate laughed in my face. I was leaving the school gates, holding Leo's hand, when a familiar blue sedan parked across the street. My heart clenched before my mind even recognized the man who stepped out. Daniel, older, sharper, wearing the same suit arrogance he always wore. His eyes landed on Leo first, then on me. The blood drained from his face as realization cracked his expression open. Emma, he breathed. But his next words punched the air out of my lungs. Who is this boy? I tightened my grip on Leo's hand. The past I buried had just knocked on my door. Leo's small fingers curled around mine, unaware of the earthquake cracking beneath our feet. He tugged gently, looking up at me with his usual bright curiosity. Mama, who is that man? I swallowed hard, forcing my voice steady. Just someone I used to know, sweetheart. But Daniel took a few steps forward, each one more hesitant than the last. His gaze darted between my face and Leo's, studying, searching, comparing. 7 lost years collided in his expression, breaking open something I wasn't ready to name. Emma, he said, breathless, as though my name had been trapped behind his ribs all this time. This boy, his voice cracked. He looks like... Don't. My voice came out sharper than I intended. Don't finish that sentence. But he did anyway. He looks like me. Heat rushed to my face, fear, anger, pain, all the things I thought time had buried. He's my son, I said quietly. That's all you need to know. Daniel stared at me as if the world had tilted sideways. His lips parted, but no sound came. Maybe he expected me to deny it. Maybe he expected that the life he pressured me to erase had truly vanished. Then Leo took a step closer, peeking from behind my arm. Mama, are we going home? Yes, I whispered. I turned, ready to walk away. But Daniel moved to block the path, not aggressively, just desperately. The look in his eyes was unrecognizable. Gone was the man who once demanded I choose between him and my child. In his place stood someone shaken, almost broken. Emma, please. We need to talk. I laughed, bitter and humorless. Talk? About what, Daniel? The child you said you'd never support? Or the woman you let walk out without a single call? He flinched. I didn't know you were, I thought... He exhaled in frustration. I thought you'd ended the pregnancy like you said. I stared at him. I never said that. I said I was ending something. And I did. I ended us. He looked devastated, and for a moment I had to look away. Leo tugged on my sleeve. Mama, can we go? I nodded and tried to move past Daniel, but he gently touched my arm. Please, just one conversation. I need to understand. For 7 years I'd waited for him to need anything from me. And now, when I no longer wanted it, here it was. I sighed. Fine, but not here. And not today. His shoulders relaxed in relief. Real relief. Tomorrow? Whenever you want. Just tell me where. I hesitated. A storm brewed inside me, old wounds ripping open. I didn't trust him. I didn't trust myself around him. But I also knew that running forever wasn't an option. Saturday morning, I said. At the Lakeside Cafe on Willow Street. 10 o'clock. He nodded slowly. I'll be there. When we finally walked away, Leo looked up at me. Mama, why was he staring at me like that? For a moment I felt my heart shatter into quiet pieces. Because, I whispered, brushing his hair back, you're very special. And sometimes people are surprised when they see someone special. He grinned. Like a superhero? I smiled weakly. Exactly. But inside I was falling apart. Saturday morning. The cafe smelled like warm bread and old memories. I sat at an outdoor table, fingers wrapped around a mug I barely touched. Leo was with my friend Mia for the morning. I didn't want him anywhere near this conversation. Daniel arrived exactly at 10. He looked exhausted, like he had spent the entire night wrestling with ghosts. Thank you for coming, he said gently. I didn't reply. We sat in silence until he finally spoke. Emma, I need to know. Is he mine? Yes. The word was a knife. Quick, clean, unavoidable. Daniel closed his eyes like the truth physically hit him. His voice dropped to a whisper. I have a son. You had a son, I corrected. Past tense. You forfeited the right to call him yours the day you told me to end it. He leaned forward, pained. I was scared, overwhelmed. My career was falling apart. I didn't know how to be a father. So you decided not to be one at all? He didn't speak. Tears burned behind my eyes, but I refused to let them fall. I begged you for support, I whispered. I begged you to try. You didn't even look for me. His jaw tightened. I did look. He swallowed hard. I went to your sister's house. I called your old workplace. Your phone was disconnected. I even hired someone to try and find you, but the trail was cold. You cut everyone off. My breath hitched. He wasn't lying. I could see it. But you thought I'd ended the pregnancy, I said. I hoped you hadn't, he whispered. I prayed you hadn't, but I didn't know how to fix what I broke. And then time kept passing and I convinced myself you moved on. Silence fell, a silence filled with all the years we lost. Finally he asked, voice shaking, does he know anything about me? No, he thinks his father died before he was born. I bit my lip. I didn't want him to feel unwanted. Daniel's face fell apart. Emma, please, let me meet him. I stiffened. No. His hands curled painfully on the table. I want to know my son. You gave up that privilege. Emma, please. I'm begging you. Just one meeting. I looked away toward the lake, calm, unbroken, everything I wasn't. He is my entire world, I whispered. I won't let you walk in and out of his life. I won't walk out again. His voice cracked. I swear it. I closed my eyes. This wasn't the argument of a man who wanted control. It was the plea of a man drowning in regret. And I hated that a part of me still recognized him. Let me think about it, I said finally. He nodded, hope flickering in his eyes. But he didn't know the truth. I wasn't deciding whether to let him meet Leo. I was deciding whether I should tell Leo the truth at all. The days after our meeting were quiet, too quiet. I moved through the routine of lunches, school drop-offs, and bedtime stories. But my mind kept replaying Daniel's voice, trembling with regret. He wants to meet his son. He wants to know him. He wants a chance he once threw away. But wanting wasn't enough. One evening, while Leo colored at the dining table, I stood in the doorway watching him. His little brows knit together in concentration. His small fingers gripping the crayons the exact way Daniel used to hold his pens, tight, deliberate, as though the world could be drawn into order. He looked so much like Daniel it scared me. Mom? Leo looked up. Why are you staring at me? I blinked. Just thinking. He grinned. About snacks? I laughed despite the heaviness in my chest. No, not snacks. He hopped off the chair and wrapped his arms around my waist. I love you, Mama. Those 4 words anchored me. I love you too, I whispered into his hair. But love didn't make decisions easier. That night, after putting him to bed, I stepped onto the balcony. The sky was deep navy, the moon hanging low like a silver secret. I leaned against the railing, breathing in the cold air, trying to untangle my thoughts. I didn't trust Daniel, not entirely, but I couldn't ignore the truth. He wasn't the same man he used to be. There was no anger in him anymore, only aching remorse. Maybe time had changed him. Maybe losing us made him realize what he destroyed. My phone buzzed. A message from Daniel. I won't push you. I just want you to know. I'm here. And I'm not leaving this time. I stared at the words for a long time. Then I typed back. Meet us at the park on Sunday. 3 p.m., 1 hour. My thumb hovered over the send button. Then I sent it, Sunday 3 p.m. The park was lively with laughter, rustling leaves, and the soft squeals of children racing down the slides. Leo ran ahead to the swings while I stood waiting beneath the shade of an oak tree. Daniel arrived moments later. He didn't look at me first. His eyes went straight to Leo, wide, shining, breaking. He took a shaky breath, like he was seeing color for the first time. "Is that him?" His voice cracked. "Yes." Leo glanced over and waved innocently. "Hi." Daniel froze. His lips trembled. He said hi. I crossed my arms. "Remember 1 hour. And you don't tell him who you are." "Not yet." He nodded quickly. "Of course. I'll follow your lead." Then he took a step toward Leo. And for the first time, their worlds finally intersected. Daniel approached Leo slowly, as if afraid one wrong move might shatter the fragile moment. Leo, swinging with his usual unfiltered joy, looked up and beamed. My son never met a stranger he didn't immediately try to befriend. "Hi, want to push me?" he asked, kicking his feet forward. Daniel looked at me for permission. I hesitated, then gave a small nod. He stepped behind the swing, placing his hands lightly on the chains. "Tell me when you're ready," he said softly. "Now!" Leo giggled. Daniel pushed, gently, carefully, almost reverently. And with every forward arc, Leo laughed louder, while Daniel's eyes filled with something raw and trembling. Not joy exactly, more like the kind of happiness that hurts. "He loves swings," I said, standing beside him. Daniel swallowed. "I can see that." Leo stretched his arms out. "Mama, look." "I'm flying," I smiled. "You are." But Daniel's voice was barely a whisper. "I missed this. All of this." I stiffened. Regret doesn't rewrite the past. He didn't argue. He simply nodded. After a few minutes, Leo slowed the swing with his feet. "Can we play soccer?" he asked, already jumping off. Daniel looked at me again. "If it's okay." "Go," I said. They moved to the open field. Leo kicked the ball as hard as his tiny legs allowed, sending it wobbling toward Daniel. Daniel pretended to stumble dramatically, letting the ball roll past him. Leo burst into laughter. "You're bad at this." Daniel chuckled, wiping a tear before it fell. "Maybe I need a great coach." Leo puffed up proudly. "I'm the best coach." Watching them hurt in a way I didn't expect. Because the more I saw Daniel with him, the more a question I hated crept into my mind. Had I taken something from Leo too? Not safety, not love, but a father. Still, Daniel had made his choice years ago. I simply lived with the consequences. After 40 minutes, Leo ran toward me, sweaty and breathless. "Mama, can we come again tomorrow?" "He's fun." He, just he, a nameless stranger in Leo's eyes. "We'll see," I said gently. Daniel approached, calmer now, though his eyes were red. "Thank you for this," he said. "More than you know." I nodded stiffly. 1 hour is over. He glanced at Leo, heart visibly breaking. "Bye, buddy." "Bye," Leo waved cheerfully. As Daniel turned away, I saw his shoulders shake, and I realized something. This wasn't the ending of the story. It was the beginning of a storm. Daniel didn't message me that night, or the next. But instead of relief, I felt something unfamiliar tightening in my chest. Unease. Tuesday afternoon, as I waited outside Leo's school, I spotted him again. Not close, not intrusive, standing across the street beside that familiar blue sedan. His hands were buried in his pockets, his eyes fixed on the school gates, but he didn't approach. When he finally noticed me watching, he lifted a hand in a careful, hesitant wave. I didn't wave back. Later, when I tucked Leo into bed, he asked, "Mama, will the funny man come again?" "He might," I said quietly. "Did you like playing with him?" Leo nodded eagerly. "He listened to my soccer rules." "Most grown-ups don't listen." I smiled faintly. "He seems to enjoy spending time with you." "Maybe he doesn't have kids," Leo said thoughtfully. "Maybe he's lonely." The innocence in his voice pierced me. After he fell asleep, I sat on the couch, watching the glow of the lamp flicker against the walls. My phone vibrated at nearly 10 p.m. A message from Daniel. "I saw you at the school. I'm sorry. I didn't want to disturb. I just wanted to see him again." I typed, deleted, typed again. Finally, "Don't hover around his school. That crosses boundaries." His reply came quickly. "You're right. I just miss him already." I stared at that sentence for a long time. 7 years ago, he hadn't wanted him at all. Now he missed him after 1 hour. Thursday morning. At the grocery store. I was comparing cereal brands when I heard a familiar voice behind me. "Emma?" I turned. Daniel stood there holding a basket, looking nervous, as if expecting me to run. "I'm not stalking you," he said quickly. "I live nearby. I come here often. I raised a brow. Coincidence? Yes, he paused. And no, I frowned. Daniel? I want to be honest, he said, gripping the basket handle. Seeing him, it's made something shift in me. I can't stop thinking about the years I lost. I want to do better, if you'll let me. My breath hitched. Do better how? You mean being around? Or being a father? He hesitated just long enough to make my stomach drop. I don't know how to be a father, Emma, he admitted. But I want to learn. I want a chance. A chance is not a guarantee, I warned. I know. His voice softened. But you owe him the truth. And I owe him everything I didn't give. The words burned, because deep inside, I knew he wasn't wrong. But giving Daniel a place in Leo's life meant letting him into mine. And I wasn't sure my heart could survive that twice. That night, after the grocery store encounter, I couldn't sleep. I lay awake listening to Leo's soft breathing through the baby monitor. Yes, I still used one. Not because he needed it, but because it calmed the anxiety that lived in my bones since the day I became a single mother. I thought about everything Daniel had said. You owe him the truth. I owe him everything I didn't give. The words twisted inside me. At 2 a.m., I finally got up and sat at the kitchen table with a cup of chamomile tea. I didn't drink. My mind spun through memories I'd fought so hard to bury. The last day in our old house? His voice raised, my heart breaking. The note on the counter, the darkness of starting over. And now, this strange, painful full circle. I didn't know if I could trust Daniel. But I did know one thing. Leo deserved a truth that didn't erase parts of himself. Saturday afternoon, I invited Daniel to the house. My hands shook as I texted him the address, and his response came in less than a minute. I'll be there. Thank you, Emma. When I opened the front door, he was standing on the porch with a small, carefully wrapped box in his hands. I brought something for him, he said. If that's okay. It depends on what it is. He nodded and unwrapped the edge to show me. A simple soccer ball. Black and white. Nothing fancy. I exhaled. That's fine. Inside, Leo ran up immediately. Hey, you came, he said, eyes bright. Daniel smiled, but I caught the tremble in it. Yeah, I brought you something. When he handed Leo the ball, my son gasped as if receiving treasure. Can we play outside? Leo asked, bouncing on his toes. I nodded. Go on. They went to the small backyard. I stood by the glass door, watching quietly as they passed the ball back and forth. Leo shouted instructions. Daniel followed everyone with a seriousness that made Leo giggle. Then, something I wasn't prepared for. Leo ran toward him suddenly, threw his arms around Daniel's waist and hugged him. Daniel froze. His hands hovered in the air for a moment before, gently, so gently, resting on Leo's back. His eyes lifted to mine through the window. There were tears. Real, unhidden tears. Something in my chest cracked. Later, when Leo ran inside for water, Daniel approached me on the porch. Emma, he's incredible, he whispered. I don't deserve him. I swallowed hard. He's only hugged 3 people in his life. Me, my friend Mia, and now you. Daniel closed his eyes, breath shaking. Please don't take that away from me. His voice wasn't demanding. It was pleading. And for the first time, I didn't know what my answer was. After Daniel said those words, please don't take that away from me, the porch fell into a silence so heavy it felt like a third presence between us. I folded my arms, partly to stay warm, partly to keep myself from shaking. I'm not trying to take anything away from you, I said quietly. But I have to protect him, always. He nodded slowly. I know, and I respect that. I'm not asking you to trust me overnight. I'm asking for time, a chance to show I'm not the same man I used to be. I looked at him sharply. People don't change in 1 week. No, he said softly. But regret changes people over 7 years. That struck something deep. A wound I didn't realize was still raw. Before I could respond, the sliding door opened and Leo poked his head out. Mama, can you come play too? I blinked, startled. Leo rarely asked that when he was meeting someone new. He usually needed time to warm up. But today, he wanted us both. As if sensing my hesitation, Daniel stepped back. It's fine. I'll stay on defense. He gave a small smile that didn't push or demand anything. So I joined them. The 3 of us played in the fading afternoon sun, laughter echoing against the backyard fence. For a moment, a fleeting, impossible moment, it almost felt like a family. But reality snapped back in when Leo tripped over the ball and scraped his knee. He didn't cry. He rarely did. But he immediately ran to me. Mama? I bent down and checked the scrape. It's okay, just a little scratch. Then something unexpected happened. Daniel stepped closer, crouching beside us. Can I see? He asked gently. Leo nodded and extended his leg toward him. Daniel examined it with surprising calm. You're strong. This won't even leave a mark. But it means you played hard. That's a good thing. Leo grinned. Really? Really? Daniel said with a small nod. I watched the scene unfold. My son leaning into a man he didn't know was his father. And that man handling the moment with tenderness I had never seen from him before. A tenderness I never got back then. And it hurt. After dinner, just pasta for Leo. And coffee for us. Daniel stood by the door, putting on his shoes. Thank you. For today, he said. It meant more than I can explain. I didn't speak. He opened the door, then hesitated. Emma? Yes? He met my eyes, and for once, there was no defensiveness, no anger, no ego, only sincerity. I want to do this right. Not just for him. For you too. I know I broke something I can't fix. But maybe I can build something new, piece by piece. I inhaled sharply. This isn't about us. No, he said. But it used to be. And sometimes, old cracks matter. Before I could respond, Leo ran up and gave him another hug. Bye, see you again. Daniel froze, overwhelmed, then slowly hugged him back. Good night, buddy. When the door closed, I leaned against it, breath unsteady. Because for the first time, I wasn't afraid of Daniel coming back. I was afraid of what it... The next week unfolded with a strange, delicate rhythm. Daniel didn't push. He didn't call constantly. He didn't show up unannounced. Instead, he texted once every couple of days. Simple things. How is Leo today? Did he like the new book you bought him? Tell him I practiced soccer drills, just in case he wants to coach me again. Nothing invasive, nothing demanding. And somehow, that made it worse. Because the more gentle he became, the more I saw a version of him I had once imagined back when we were young and naive enough to believe in forever. I hated that I remembered that version. But memories have sharp edges. They cut even when you avoid them. Sunday morning. I agreed to let Daniel take Leo to the park for 2 hours. Supervised, of course. I wasn't ready for anything more. When Daniel arrived, Leo bolted to the door with excitement. You're here! Mama said we can go out today. Daniel crouched to eye level. If your mom says it's okay, then yes. Leo looked at me with his hopeful little smile, the exact expression he used when asking for extra dessert. Go, I said softly. But stay where I can see you. Daniel nodded. We won't leave the area. They went ahead toward the field while I followed at a distance. There were other families, kids playing on swings, parents chatting under shade trees. A normal day, but my world felt anything but normal. Leo kicked the ball, missing wildly. Daniel didn't laugh. He didn't correct him. He knelt beside him and said something I couldn't hear. And suddenly Leo repeated the kick, with more control. Then he looked up at Daniel like he'd discovered something magic. As I sat on a bench a few feet away, an older woman took the seat beside me. She wore a floral scarf, her gray hair tied back neatly. Your husband is wonderful with him, she said with a smile. My breath caught. He's not my... Oh, my mistake, she said, embarrassed. I only assumed because the little boy looks a bit like him. Same eyes, same eyes. The words hit deeper than she could have known. I forced a polite smile. He's someone important to my son. And maybe that was the first time I admitted it aloud, even if vaguely. The woman nodded warmly. Children need good men in their lives, even if they come late. Late, yes. Daniel was 7 years late, but he was here now. The weight of that realization didn't bring relief. It brought confusion. After the park, when we returned home, Leo ran inside shouting about goals and the funniest warm-up exercises ever invented. Daniel stayed near the doorway, hands in his pockets, unsure if he should step in. You can come in, I said finally. He entered like the house belonged to someone else, slowly, carefully, respectfully. Can I ask something? He said once Leo ran to wash his hands. I nodded warily. When did you tell him? That his father died? I exhaled, rubbing my arms. When he turned 5. He started asking questions. I didn't want him to grow up feeling abandoned. Daniel lowered his head. So I became the dead father? It was kinder than the truth, I said softly. He winced but didn't argue. I don't blame you. I blame myself. I frowned. What do you want, Daniel? He leaned against the counter, eyes searching mine in a way that made my heart stumble. I want to know him, he said. Not as the funny man or the soccer buddy. I want him to know who I am, and I want to earn my place in his life. I crossed my arms. Earning and demanding are different things. Right now, you're walking the line. I know, he said quietly. And I'm trying not to cross it. His sincerity disarmed me. His softness made me uneasy. His regret felt too real. I'm not saying yes, I said carefully. But I'm not saying no either. I just need time. Daniel nodded slowly, as if he had expected this. Then I'll wait. As long as you need. He stood near the door, ready to leave, when Leo came running back in. Wait, you forgot something. Daniel paused. What's that? Leo wrapped his arms around him in a fierce, unfiltered hug. Come again soon, okay? Daniel's voice trembled. Yeah, okay. When the door closed behind him, Leo looked at me, confused. Mama, why do you always look sad after he leaves? My heart twisted painfully. Because grown-up feelings are complicated, sweetheart. Leo tilted his head. But he's nice. And he likes me. You like him too, right? I froze. Did I? Or did I like the person he was becoming? Before I could answer, Leo grabbed my hand. Don't worry, Mama. If you're scared, he'll disappear. I can tell he won't. I stared at my son, stunned. Why do you think that? Leo shrugged simply. Because he watches me the same way you do. And just like that, everything inside me cracked open. Not for the man Daniel once was, but for the man he was trying to be. The next morning arrived with the weight of thunderclouds. I barely slept. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw Ethan's expression from last night. Confused, hurt, afraid he'd lose Noah all over again. And beneath it all, I sensed a truth neither of us had spoken yet. We were standing at the edge of something irreversible. I walked downstairs to find Ethan at the kitchen counter, making pancakes, Noah's favorite. My son sat opposite him, swinging his legs, chattering about school. Ethan listened with a soft, focused smile, like he was memorizing every word. He looked up when I entered. Morning, he said gently. Morning, I replied, forcing steadiness into my voice. Noah hopped off his chair. Mom! Ethan's making pancakes with smiley faces. I smiled. Lucky you. After breakfast, Ethan offered Noah a ride to school. Noah agreed instantly. Of course he did. Halfway to the door, he turned back and hugged Ethan without hesitation. Bye, he said, as if this had always been their life. Ethan froze, stunned, then rested a careful hand on Noah's back. See you after school, buddy. When the door closed, the silence stretched painfully between us. He turned to me. We need to talk. I nodded. We sat on the couch, but the space between us felt like miles. I don't want to push, he began softly, but am I allowed to love him? Really love him? Or am I just a guest passing through your life? I swallowed hard. Ethan, I'm scared. Of me? No, of everything. My voice cracked. Of losing control. Of letting someone in again. Of him getting attached and something going wrong. He leaned forward. Nothing is going to go wrong. I'm here. I'm not running. I missed the first 7 years of his life. I won't miss another day. I wiped my eyes. You say that now. I mean it now, he interrupted gently. And I'll mean it tomorrow. And 10 years from now. His certainty did something to me, broke something, healed something I didn't know. I need time, I whispered. You can have all the time you want, he said. But what, can I still be here? With him, with you? While you take that time? The vulnerability in his eyes made my chest ache. Yes, I breathed. You can. He exhaled shakily, like he'd been holding his breath for days. We sat there, not touching, but somehow closer than we'd ever been. Then my phone pinged. A message from Noah's school. Parent meeting reminder. Today, 4 p.m. I frowned. A meeting? They usually warn earlier. Ethan glanced at the screen. Want me to come? My heart skipped. As what? He didn't hesitate. As Noah's father. The words hit me with the force of a confession. And for the first time, I didn't feel fear. I felt possibility. The parent meeting was nothing like I expected. I walked into Noah's school with my heart pounding, Ethan beside me. For a moment, I wondered if anyone could tell, if our shoulders brushed too naturally, if he walked like someone who belonged next to me. But the only person who seemed aware of the gravity of the moment was me. When we entered the classroom, Noah's teacher looked up. Oh, good. Both of you are here, both of you. As if it were the most normal thing in the world. We took our seats. Ethan's knee brushed mine under the tiny table, sending my nerves scattering. The teacher talked about Noah's progress, his drawings, his quiet kindness, the way he'd become more open lately, especially this past week, she noted with a smile. He's been talking a lot about a special friend who picks him up sometimes. I felt the heat rise to my cheeks. Ethan's lips curved in a shy, almost stunned smile. When the meeting ended, Noah ran out of his classroom and straight into Ethan's arms. No hesitation, no confusion, just trust. "Are you guys staying for ice cream?" he asked excitedly. Ethan looked at me, seeking permission, not claiming, not assuming, just hoping. I nodded. We walked out of the school like a family that had always existed. Noah held Ethan's hand with one of his and mine with the other. For a moment, the world became painfully, beautifully simple. At the ice cream shop, Noah leaned into Ethan's side while eating chocolate swirl, leaving smears on Ethan's shirt. Ethan didn't even notice. He was too focused on listening to Noah explain how dinosaurs were definitely still alive somewhere. Watching them, something inside me finally stopped fighting. On the walk home, Ethan slowed, letting Noah skip ahead on the sidewalk. "I need to say this," he whispered. "I know I can't undo the past. I know what I cost you. But if you let me, I want to spend the rest of my life being someone who protects you, not someone you have to protect yourself from. I want to earn you, both of you." His voice shook. "I don't want temporary. I want a family, our family." I felt the tears I'd been resisting for months rise again. But this time, they didn't burn. They soothed. "I'm still scared," I admitted. "I am too," he breathed. "But I'm here." I took his hand. For the first time in years, the fear didn't win. "Then stay," I whispered. His fingers tightened around mine, steady, certain, warm. "I'm not going anywhere," he said. And for the first time, I believed him.